So a couple of big things are happening out there. Yeah, I mean, we've got gun violence that's gone crazy in this country. It already was here. It was, but then you get the graphic images of fourth graders being shot, and of course that puts it right there on the front page for longer than what the gun advocates want it to be on the front page. On this very show, I said that the gun advocates, the gun nuts, the afraid of the NRA type senators and congressmen, what they wanted after Buffalo was time. I said that right here. What they wanted was time because it had happened before, right? You've got this group of individuals that you're afraid of. The guys that are driving down the road on I-94 or I-29 in their pickup with proud member of the NRA, and on the other side it says Hoeven for Senate or Kramer for Senate. Those are the guys you love. Those are the guys you want. Those are the guys you don't want to tick off, right? Because they're going to the bar tonight and they're going to talk to about 20 other guys, and those other guys may agree with them or may not want to even argue with them, because if they argue with them, it's just going to make for a long night, and they want to talk about the Minnesota Twins. So here you are. I mean, here you are. You are a United States Senator from North Dakota, and politically, the worst thing you can do after Buffalo is take action. Then what happens? Uvalde, Texas is what happens. You end up in a situation where a guy goes into a grade school and butchers children for how long, to the point where 21 people died. And I could make you an argument it's 22 after the heart attack of one of those teachers. A broken heart. Call it anything you want. But when one of those students smears the blood of her friend on her so she could lay there and have that shooter think that she is dead and he won't kill her. Imagine that. Imagine that. If you're John Hoeven or you're Kevin Kramer or you're Kelly Armstrong, imagine that. That image, that time that you were in public office. I want to talk about thoughts and prayers. That's what I want to talk about. And the minute I said that, your first instinct went to, you bet. That's one thing that we can agree on, Joel. Thoughts and prayers. Let's keep them in our thoughts, and let's pray for those people that and their lives were sacrificed and the families that are left behind. No, that isn't what I'm praying for. That isn't what I'm praying for at all. I'm praying that John Hoeven, Kevin Kramer, and Kelly Armstrong, as they pray, they thank God. They thank God for the abilities that he gave them and the opportunity that they have to serve the people of the United States of America. And that as they pray, they say, you know what, Lord, thank you so much for allowing me to do something about what's happening. But I don't doubt that that's not what they're praying. That's not what they're praying. I'm not saying that they're praying for time, but deep down they are. They just want time. They just want... The nation forgets. We're going to be on to this. We're going to be on to that. How many of you, after these shootings, the first conversation you're having as you sit down at the coffee table at the local cafe is about Ukraine? It's not so much anymore, right? Because you forgot that. There's people still getting killed in Ukraine. Russia is still attacking Ukraine. We're still sending arms to Ukraine. We've got a war going on where it's not in our best interest for one moment to have the Russians win, and nobody's talking about it because we have these shootings. Well, how do we not talk about shootings? Well, if the shootings are in Chicago, we don't care. If the shootings are in New York, we don't care. If the shootings are in a situation where elderly people are killed versus kids, we don't care. But we have to care when it's kids, right? I don't think it should be limited just to this shooting in Texas. But I do think it's going to be the catalyst that points out exactly what changes are or could happen. And I like that. If nothing else comes out of this tragedy, this historic butchering of students, if nothing else comes out of it, maybe some common sense gun legislation comes out of it. Now, you're sitting here listening to an individual that owns guns. So there's my disclaimer, right? I own guns. I own a lot of guns. By anyone else's standard, I own a number of guns. I hunt deer, I hunt pheasants. I used to hunt ducks and geese, but I don't anymore because I don't like eating them and I don't have anybody that wants them after I shoot them. So I'm not going to shoot them. But I will tell you this. I own everything from collector's guns to guns that my father passed down to guns that I won at a pheasant banquet or a DU banquet or at the local Dollars for Scholars banquet. I own guns. So I don't have to apologize to you on my position on guns. But what I will tell you is as a gun owner, I will stand for deeper background checks. People tell you who they are. They do. And you know where they do it the most? It isn't from their friends, because now you got to trust the friend. The friend comes out and says, he's going to butcher somebody with this. That's called a red flag, right? I like the red flag laws. I hope the red flag laws go in place. I'm not trying to diminish that. But I am trying to tell you that if you go on their Facebook page, you go on their Twitter account, and you see what they're commenting, and that produces red flags, then why in the heck would you allow them to buy a gun? They told you who they are. That happened in Texas. It happened in Buffalo. They told us who they are. You should never be able to walk into a Shields and leave with a gun. You shouldn't. There should be extensive background checks. I can't walk into a driver's test and say, all right, I want to drive today. Give me the test. They're going to ask me things. Did you take driver's ed? Did you pass an eye test? They're going to make sure things get checked out before they let me take the keys, right? So why don't we get tougher with background checks on guns? Here's another one. 18-year-olds should not be able to buy a gun. And if you're sitting there looking at your TV right now and you're saying, well, they're in the military at 18, isn't that easy? That's so easy. Just throw that out. They're in the military at 18. You know what the military does? They train them on how to use weapons of war. They train them how to respect them. And they evaluate whether or not they should be in the hands of someone. So don't use the military excuse. Don't do that. You embarrass yourself by doing that. If you're in the right crowd and that crowd is foolish and it's just one of those bumper stickers, then fine. Then fine. You got the people you want, throw that out. But for anybody of any level of intellect, you have insulted yourself. You're part of the problem. Those of us that aren't willing to sit down and put in common sense legislation when it comes to guns in America are part of what's going to happen, what's yet to happen, what could happen right here. We're part of the problem. We're responsible. And I want you to keep that in mind. I do. I want you to keep in mind what role you can play. Now, nothing I just told you took away a gun. Nothing I just told you took away a gun. So go ahead and scream at the TV as well that Heitkamp's after my guns. You'd be lying. You'd be lying. But I'm just going to tell you this. It goes beyond thoughts and prayers.